Welcome to another Online Personals Watch CEO interview. Today we're joined by Romain David, who is the CEO of Meexo.com and the Meexo app. So Romain, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Now you've been working in mobile for over 10 years now, 11 years. You've worked with Orange and Apple. What was it like at Apple in 2007? You were one of the fellows responsible for the launch of the iPhone.
Yeah, I was in the iPhone product marketing team, and it was absolutely amazing to be part of the experience. As you know, this was the time where Apple introduced the iPhone and the iPod Touch, and it was just amazing to be able to work on with the team on that launch. It was absolutely amazing.
Did you meet Steve?
I haven't met him, but I've seen him many times. And I was very fortunate to actually be. I did attend a few of the keynotes and a few of the presentations that he gave. So I didn't meet like him face to face, but I had the opportunity to see him several times speak, and also the cafeteria. So that was good. That was a very good experience.
And of course, it's an amazing product culture there. How has that rubbed off on what you've done with Meexo?
One of the things is, so as you mentioned, I've been in mobile for more than 10 years now. And the online dating industry reminds me a lot of the mobile industry before the iPhone. Let's say this market was pretty significant, but it was hard to find people who really love their devices before the iPhone came up. A lot of people use cell phones, obviously, but very few people really felt this emotional connection with the device. So this is actually what Apple changed is, now you have people lining up for the new phones all the time. And why? Because this product is really meaningful to them. And I think the online dating industry is pretty much at the same point where, this is an established market. This has been around for like 17 years now. But we have yet to see products that people really love. And when we spend a lot of time talking to users, to people who actually do use online dating, when we just started, we realized that the best we can get as a feedback was, oh, it was okay. I met my wife, I met my husband, so that was great. But nobody really told us, oh, this product was absolutely amazing. And this is exactly what we wanted to build to address this missing gap, I would say.
So people love Apple products. What do you think they love and hate about mobile dating?
When we talk to people, we realize that there's a lot of creepiness associated with mobile dating that a lot of people, especially women, were not comfortable with. And the creepiness is typically, sharing your location to strangers. A lot of women we interviewed, a lot of women we talked to, told us they don't like that. They think it's creepy. It doesn't make them feel safe, and also they don't necessarily want to meet, guys anytime, anywhere. We also talk to women who do use location-based based products like Foursquare, but we realize that a lot of these women do check in as they are about to leave, basically. So they don't necessarily, want to share their location to people they don't really know, they don't know very well. So that's one element of it. And I think, the way we look at the market is, it's not, a mobile phone is not only about location. It's about all the things that makes this platform unique. And the other things are, it's a personal device. There's only one phone per user. And that's something we can actually leverage to make a better experience. So one thing we're doing is we limit the number of profiles you can create to one per device. So, no more fake profiles. If you do misbehave, we can actually not only block your account, but also block your device. So it's very difficult for you to go back to Meexo unless you buy a new phone. And the fact that it's a communication device and it's always with you, makes also opens the door to a new set of opportunities that the web as a platform doesn't actually provide.
You've been working with Meexo a little over a year now. What's your founding story? What led you to start Meexo?
So we saw these opportunities, I guess, for personal experiences. So I considered like online dating just like a lot of people, at least in San Francisco, and there was no really there was no like a product that I wanted to try. I would say willingnessly, and I basically I was very uncomfortable about the idea that people could actually join and expose themselves, expose their profile to anybody, and those people that they expose their profile to can be their coworkers, or they can be their classmates if they go to school, or they can be some of their friends. So the first thing that we wanted to change was, how can we leverage the social graph on your existing social networks like Facebook, where we can actually make a better online dating experience. And what we do is, this is the concept we introduced at TechCrunch Disrupt. We call it the reverse social graph. And what it does is it prevents your profile from being exposed to all of your direct connections on social networks. So we're starting with Facebook. So if you are a friend with your coworkers or your classmates, they cannot see your profile, you cannot see their profile. And therefore, we decrease the friction that it takes to join a dating site or dating product. So that's really that was really the angle that we first started with. But the second thing is,
so you actually just to back up, you're making it so that if you suck in the profile from Facebook, and then is that you do that? You take in the profile, and then people on Facebook that are friends, you don't allow them to see if they're one of your friends. You don't allow them to see that you're on on Meexo.
Exactly.
Intriguing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I had some of my classmates actually from business school did tell me that they joined dating sites, and that was actually a very very high cost for them, because some of the classmates were actually matched to them. And then I heard some horror stories basically about it. So we wanted to address this. We wanted to, this is 2012 now. There's something we can do about it. And when companies like Match.com started 17 years ago, there was no such thing as social graphs on social networks. So now we can actually really leverage that to build a better experience. And we think this is definitely part of the change that is happening in this industry.
Because this is there seems to be two schools of thought here. One school of thought is that your friends should be matchmakers for you, and a few apps have taken this approach. Wingmen. I just talked to one fellow who had a wingman part built into his app so that you could elect to have somebody be a wingman for you. So you were taking the opposite route. You're saying that friends shouldn't really know that you're on a dating app. I mean, there is, when you sign up, the ability to only allow certain kinds of friends or acquaintances see that you're on the app. But I'm not sure everybody knows that. I'm not sure everybody really uses that. They just go ahead and punch through, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So we take the conservative approach of saying none of your direct connection on Facebook can actually see your profile. We obviously let you see friends of friends, because if you take the real life analogy, very often this is how people actually meet their partner, and so that's actually that's very valuable. Friends of friends are actually a very valuable, basically a source of profiles that are most likely to be relevant to me. But we took this conservative approach to be very very different from any other product out there. And this is actually something we got so excited about that to us, there's no doubt in our mind that this is, eventually all the dating sites will do this. And this is why we decided actually to file a patent, because we think this is definitely something that's going to be huge. That's going to be the standard for the future. And that's, and you're right, like other products have tried the matchmaking. And this is something very interesting because it's definitely happening in real life. This is not something we are going after because we think it's actually too much of an effort for friends to, go, launch an application in order to match their other friends. Why would they use your application? They could actually do that in real life anyway. So that's not the approach that we are taking.
So would you describe Meexo as an internet dating or mobile dating app, or is it more friends making? Is it more Badu is flirting, for
Right.
example.
So we view ourselves as our mission is really to help you initiate and also improve meaningful relationships. So we don't, we think there's a lot of there are a lot of companies focusing on casual dating. Let's flirt, let's connect, let's chat, and that's it. Our goal is really around relationships, and also we think one of the other things that we think the market is going to change is better aligning the incentives of the company, in our case, Meexo, with the incentive of the user. In other words, we should not stop just at the introduction level. And if you think about it, we call the industry the online dating industry. It should be called the online introduction industry, because the companies stop providing value at the introduction level. But then there's another world that just starts when you actually meet the person face to face for the first time. What are the things that we can do during the actual dates? And now that we are focusing on phones, there are a lot of things we can do actually to help you break the ice. Talk about specific things if you want to, obviously. And then when you are starting a relationship, why should we stop there? And we are trying to actually provide value beyond those introductions. So it's really about relationship, whether you are about to start a relationship or you are in a relationship. And we think it has to be much more complete as a product experience for the user.
So on that point, can you tell us about us? Because that plays nicely into, that's one of your distinguishing features, us.
Yes, and this is actually one thing we did to this point to help you during the actual date. So us is, let's say if you meet somebody on Meexo and you go on your first date, you have the opportunity to actually connect your phone to your date's phone, and then you can actually see what music you have in common on the two devices. And the music, it's actually very magic, where you see the albums floating on the two screens. So it's a really, really cool experience. And this is something we actually, when we launched at South by Southwest a few weeks ago, this is something that really resonates with people. And it's totally geeky. It's very, not everybody would do that, but this is definitely something you can actually do to break the ice. So for instance, if you realize that there's a band you really like, and the girl you're going on a date with also really like this band because she also has this band on the phone, then you can actually talk about it. I went to see the concert, a few weeks ago, and you can start conversations this way. So we provide these ways to break the ice and come up with some potentially interesting things to say during your dates. So that's an example of the things that we're working on.
What other two features would you hang your hat on Meexo? What other two features are you most proud of?
I would say that, the first thing is really about trying to remove the creepiness. And I think that was the one thing we got that was very clear when we started to talk to users about online dating, and more specifically about mobile dating. So the reverse social graph is definitely a big piece of it. The fact that we don't reveal your real location. So we reveal basically where we live. You are in San Francisco, you are in Miami, you are in LA, but we don't reveal you are at this corner right now. And that really resonates, especially with the women, users. The other thing is around, I would say, scarcity of communication. So one of the things we heard many times was, men tend to message a lot, and women tend to be overwhelmed with these messages. And that creates a lot of friction between what's good for one category is not so good for the other category. And what we wanted to do is actually to create some kind of scarcity. And this is actually related to our business model, which is we don't charge on a monthly basis. We actually charge on a per usage basis. So when you download the application, it's free. We give you some credits, and you can use these credits to initiate conversations. If you want to respond, it's always free. So there's no friction to respond. But there's a friction about initiating conversations, because we want people to be very picky and thoughtful about what they say, as opposed to like spamming other users. So that's what we're trying to do to address this creepiness, factor.
Are you charging for the points yet?
We are, and this is clearly not our priority right now. We are 100% focusing on providing value to the user. We basically are dedicated to basically provide this delightment for the user. So we want to create this ultimate experience that people really, really love. And this is our goal, our only goal for now. We do have this ability to charge for credits because of that, because we believe it will actually create a better experience. But this isn't the priority right now. Is not to optimize revenues. It's really to create the best product and the best experience as possible.
Gotcha. Now you launched a TechCrunch Disrupt and South by Southwest. I saw you at South by Southwest. Which one was better for you?
So when we announced our product at TechCrunch Disrupt, we were very, very lucky because a lot of people are applying, and they only select, I think, less than 30 companies to go on stage as part of the final round. So it was we were very fortunate to be one of these companies. And unfortunately, we could not launch our product at TechCrunch Disrupt. It was just too early for us. And so what we did is actually we put together websites, and you could actually pre-sign up. And then we will let you know when the product is available. We actually we can get you in a little bit faster. And our server basically crashed the minute we went on stage, because everybody was trying to go to the website. I think maybe it was probably like seconds after we actually went on stage. So the website was down for about 30 minutes. And that was unfortunate, but that was also good, because we got a lot of traffic in a very short amount of time. So TechCrunch Disrupt was great for us because it was a way to show people what we're actually working on. And I think things like the reverse social graph really resonated with people. They really like this. And then South by Southwest, this is that was actually a few weeks ago. This is when we actually launched our products. We were also very fortunate to be one of the finalists in the mobile category of the South by Southwest Accelerator competition. And we used that to actually officially launch our product. So there was no, it's not like one was better than the other. We wished, obviously, that we could have launched at TechCrunch Disrupt because we had the opportunity to have a lot of exposure at the time. But it was good to get a first kind of opportunity to disclose our product and get feedback earlier, that we could actually incorporate before we actually launch the product. If that makes sense.
And what was the most surprising feedback that you got?
The most surprising feedback we got, it was basically the fact that this reverse social graph, like, it seems that it was something that people never really thought about, and that really resonated with a lot of people. And we decided to make some adjustments based on what we learned, based on what we heard. But what the challenge is, TechCrunch Disrupt is a very kind of tech-oriented audience, and there's a lot of media as well. But the audience of people who actually read TechCrunch are much more tech-savvy than the average audience. And so the difficulty for a startup is really to differentiate, the feedback you get from this audience as opposed to the feedback you will get from more like the mass market, the people who are not so tech-savvy. And because we don't want to be only appealing to people who are tech-savvy, we want to be appealing to everybody. So that's definitely one of the challenges of going through one of these events and conferences. You want to get as much as you can without closing your eyes on the big picture.
How do you deal with geolocation? Have you? What's your iteration of geolocation?
Yeah, so I think location for mobile apps is definitely something very interesting and very valuable, very differentiating from the web platform. I think it has to be done right. I think it's actually it's not a priority for us. It's not a goal for us to share your location to people you don't even know, to make people uncomfortable. I think if you're talking about dating, it's people you don't already know. We want to make 100% our users very comfortable about it. And this is why we use GPS to know the city where you are, but we don't actually share your exact location to people you don't know. I think location for people you already know is can be more I would say interesting, less creepy, because you don't mind as much about sharing a location to these people. But I think you have to be very careful, and it's really up to every single company to draw the line where this is actually creepy versus where it's actually useful and meaningful to people. And we picked, we draw a line ourselves for our part.
What's the line?
But the line is, again, for this dating product, is really sharing the minimum information about your location that is necessary to have a good dating experience. People do want to know, the city where you live, because that's the reason why they will contact you or not, right? If I see somebody who is in Asia, that may drive my decision to contact that person, as opposed to if she was living in the same city. So that's really where we draw the line, again, for this dating product.
And have you treated women differently from guys when it comes to geolocation?
No, we haven't. No.
Okay.
And really, it's very interesting because you have to make both genders happy, and they definitely want different things. But I would say whenever there's a decision to be made, we want to be on the women's side. We want to make sure that they have the best experience as possible, and that's always has been like a direction to follow for the company.
Would you say that you're in the seeding stage of growth?
In the what? I'm sorry?
The seeding stage?
I would say we are on the learning stage. So our goal right now is to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible from our users. What's working, what's not working, and we want to reiterate very fast. We want to build the best experience as possible. So we pay a lot of attention to what users have to say. And this is so that our priority right now is really to learn as much as possible and reiterating based on this learning.
Let's suppose I give you $200,000, but you've got to spend it next week. Where are you going to put it to grow Meexo?
It's actually a good question, because I would rather not spend anything or very little beyond just beyond this learning points that I was describing, because this is the most important thing for now.
In 3 months' time, then.
What's that?
In 3 months' time.
In 3 months' time. So yes, so the goal would be, let's actually learn as much as possible. Let's actually reiterate as much as possible, as fast as possible. Once we feel that we have a product which is competing enough based on our own criteria, based on our goals, then we can actually say, okay, let's actually grow this product and build audiences. We are trying to be very, very conservative about where we want to grow right now. So it's mostly, right now we want to get as many users as possible, in San Francisco Bay Area, because this is where we live. This is a little bit easier for us. And as soon as we have something that we feel comfortable with, that we feel good about, that we meet our internal goals, then we want to expand, to other cities, basically. And in order to do that, we are also trying different channels. So it's not only about mobile advertising; it's also about we also start to talk to events, and we give them like a custom invitation code. So if anybody is watching us and is interested about it, we can create this invitation code just for you. And if users that you drive enter this code, he or she will get more credits that will be used to actually initiate more conversations. And this is how we can actually track offline marketing channels. So that's actually an important part of our business, I think.
Nice. What's your thoughts on building virality into the app?
So we have different viral hooks. Some of them we haven't built yet, and some of them we have. Again, because we want to test, we want to see what works, what doesn't work. And this is not the goal right now to actually really focus on viral and user acquisition. We want to create this core product that people really like, and then deploy those viral hooks after that. So we need to have, I mean, don't get me wrong, we need to have enough users to learn, right? But the viral, I would say, thing would come later on, and we're gonna test. It's really about testing. You have some ideas, you implement them, and then you see if that works. And then if it doesn't work, just move on to the next one and so on. But we have a long list of, we have about 6 or 7 viral hooks that we want to try over time.
Let's turn the tables. If you've got a friend who's starting a mobile dating app, what would you tell him that he should spend per new user?
I think it depends of what experience he or she wants to build. If it's more in the, I would say, casual side, or if it's more like a serious side, that will actually drive a lot of your decisions. And about how much you should spend to acquire a user, it really depends on what your goals are. Do you want to get enough users to prove your concept, to actually learn the thing that we do? Then maybe you can actually afford to spend a little bit more per user. Or do you want to just acquire users because you want to be profitable, and then obviously your revenues have to be higher than what you spend. So it really depends on what your goals are, and in which phase of the company you are in.
Beginning 30,000 people, and okay. Let's suppose the friend has 30,000 people in the system that are active, so they're post-seeding. But they're pre-profitability. What do you think is kind of the margins on what people should be spending as they're considering the different channels for marketing, given that they've got a couple of $100,000 to spend to start?
Yeah. So I think in this specific space, like the mobile dating space, I think it's definitely important to focus on one specific location, one specific city, as opposed to I would rather spend $10,000 in one place as opposed to $10,000 in worldwide, right? Because otherwise, the number of users in your city will actually directly impact the user experience of the existing users. So that's definitely something to consider. I think it also depends of let's say the access to inventory. So some channels actually are much cheaper than others, but then they don't give you a lot of inventory. They don't give you a lot of users. So if I spend 20 cents, but I only can get 1 user or 2 users per day, that's not going to move the needle. But if I can spend maybe then it's better to spend $1 per user or $3 per user, because if you can get more inventory. So it really depends on what your goals are. And to us, I mean, to a young startup, let's say, you should really test different marketing channels. Try online, try mobile, try offline, and try obviously viral channels. See what works, what doesn't work, and maybe you will be surprised. Maybe you will actually monetize way better using a specific channel as opposed to another channel. So tracking is really the key here.
Are there any behaviors that you've observed from users that have really surprised you at this stage?
I would say the behaviors that are surprising, it's really about, let's say, the first interaction with the application. And different users actually do different things the very first time they launch the app, which is definitely something interesting for us, and we are keeping an eye. And we always wonder, can we build better onboarding experience? So continue to observe basically what they do, and again, we're using some analytics products to do that. Would have really impacts about how we think about these onboarding experiences. and potentially have a different onboarding experience based on who you are, based on where you come from. I mean, where you come from, like, did you hear about us from another app, from your friend? We can actually provide potentially a different onboarding experience.
Great. What caused you concern? Was there any behaviors that were of great, a concern?
The concern, not specific. I mean, the concern is really, the concern is, can we learn as fast as possible? Can we keep our learning cycles as short as possible? And that's really what the energy of the company is really about at this point. And then, again, and how do you? I think what's true for every single startup is how do you prioritize? And we probably wonder about this every single day. We have so many resources available. We have to make a decision about what to do, what not to do, and what not to do is probably at least as important as the things that you decide to do. Knowing what not to do is very, very, very important for startups, I think.
Gotcha. What are the dating sites, what are the mobile dating services do you hold in high esteem? Which ones do you think have been well executed, that have been an inspiration?
I think, let's say, if I think about dating apps that are extensions of existing websites, I think OkCupid did a very good job. I liked their approach on the web. It was very interesting how they actually managed to build a momentum and a strong user base. And I think they've done a great job when it comes to the extension products on mobile. For mobile-specific companies, I think, Grindr is obviously a very successful player. I think their model works very well in the gay community. I don't think it's actually transferable to the straight community because, again, you have to take into account gender differences. But I think, it's definitely something that it's not the first time I heard about the idea, and I think you and I talked about this earlier. Mobile has been around for quite a while, and mobile dating has been around for quite a while. Those kind of ideas are not necessarily new, but they finally are possible because of the access of the technology, because now you have 50% of, let's say, the US population having a smartphone. That was not the case, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So I think a lot of things have happened in order for this market to really take off. And we're starting to see a lot of these opportunities becoming possible today.
And have you actually developed the app in-house? Do you prefer in-house versus did you use a third party to build the app?
We did build everything in-house. And we're using a company called StackMob for our backend. So it's basically a company that provides, you, as a developer, basically you can focus on your product, on your core products, and you can basically use their technology, their service to support, to basically support the application on the backend, so databases, things like that.
What was the name of the company? I didn't quite catch it.
StackMob.
StackMob?
StackMob is StackMob.
Got it. Okay, great. What other technologies was it built on? What choices did you make for tech?
Oh, for us, it's it's iOS, Objective-C. It's a native application. It was important for us to build this application natively because we wanted to provide a very, very good experience. So we wanted the application to be fast. We wanted the application to really take advantage of the device, of the capabilities. So that's why we did not want to do like a mobile web version. It was very important to really focus on this user experience.
I read recently that LinkedIn was using HTML5. It was 95%. It was a mobile web. That's an interesting choice. Do you think the technologies are evolving to be able to do that now?
Definitely. HTML5 has a great days ahead of it. I think it's still not ready for a lot of different applications. And I think in the case of LinkedIn, that makes sense because there's not a lot of media. It's not a very media-heavy application. It doesn't actually really take advantage of the hardware. It's mostly like a browsing experience. In our case, we want to be able to tap into the camera API. We want to be able to tag to the location API. Potentially, we want to be able to tap into this core capabilities of the device that an HTML5 site could not actually have access to. So I think HTML5 in the future, yes, absolutely. HTML5 now, I don't think it's actually ready for the kind of things that we want to do.
Let's fast forward a year. What's Meexo stand out for membership and for where are you at in a year's time with Meexo?
I think we're going to see a lot of things around this concept of meaningful relationship. And I think this is the one aspect of social networking that has been left behind. If you think about it, so online dating is all about meeting people you don't know. Then you have social networking, which is about staying in touch with all the people you either care about the most or met only once. I do have 1,500 people, friends on Facebook. Then there's LinkedIn for professional network. There's not a lot of things for meaningful relationships, and we think there's definitely an opportunity there. And we started as focusing on dating because this is part of this meaningful relationship concepts, and there are a lot of things to be done in that space. So we're very, very excited about it.
Romain David, formerly of Apple, product marketing manager at product marketeer at Apple, no less. You're the CEO and founder of Meexo. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mark.